We are at Mount Carmel Cemetery today in Hillside, Illinois, and we are at the family plot of the Tormina family, Italian immigrants, first generation. Actually, these are the grandparents and their two sons of the adoptive family of one of our viewers, one of our precious viewers, Flo Costa, and she has provided us today with some background on some of her family that are buried here, grandparents and two of their sons. Very inspiring story. They did it the hard way. They came across to Ellis Island. They emigrated 1910, 1911. They've traveled from New York to Chicago. And they all moved in, of course, as many did there with their siblings to get their feet on the ground. Grandpa Sam found a good job with the sewer department in the city of Chicago, and Grandma Flo, as she was called, it was Providencia, spelled Providenza, but they would pronounce it Providencia. Grandma Flo, they would call her for short, would sew clothes in the factory, making clothes. She was one of the seamstresses. And as many of the families also did, they had the Italian neighborhood. They all settled together. They were around Sedgwick and Division Streets near the west side of downtown, and then began their dating years. This was, of course, before they were married, and they were married on November 15th, 1914 at St. Philip Veace Catholic Church here in Chicago. And from their marriage, they had a total of 6 children, 5 boys and 1 girl. And you see here there are 2 boys buried here that died very young. They lost 2 of those children early. Now, Grandpa Sam is one of the 8 founders of an Italian aid society in Chicago that is still in existence today, and his name is still on the society handbook along with 7 other founders. Now, as we come close, we're going to look at Grandma Flo, and it was August of 1982 that she passed away. She had diabetes and her symptoms were getting very bad, and ultimately it resulted that one of her legs had to be amputated, and sadly just 2 weeks later she died as a complication from that of pneumonia. Now, Grandpa Sam, of course, you notice 1954, he died many, many years before. He was not that old, in his 60s, and at the time he was employed at the city of Chicago at the sewer department, and it was there that Sam had a fatal heart attack. Now we come over and we look at the older boy, Joseph, Joe as he was known at the time, their oldest son. And of course he was taken too early. It was an undetected heart condition that would take Joe at the young age of only 17 years old. Now here we start to come close to the picture of Anthony. They called him Tony. Tony died only 9 months after Joe. He was 13 years old at the time, and he was at a wedding. It was in a big hall, and he found a gun on a shelf, Tony did. He started playing with the gun, and sadly he accidentally shot himself in the heart, so he died instantly. You have to imagine the these two tragedies so close together, and that they were, I believe these were the first two sons, had to have completely crushed Grandpa and Grandma. You can't even imagine the heartbreak of these two parents, but of course back in these days, you look around the cemetery and others across the country, the Spanish flu and all the diseases, and living was more dangerous, working conditions, and a lot of kids died. A lot of kids died early, especially during the Spanish flu, and all of these parents around here and the Tormina family just had to endure. They had to push on. They had to have more kids, and that's what they did, maybe to help just get by, to live, to continue to live. Well, when the boys died, they were waked in the home. There was a black wreath hanging outside the front door, as this was normally done. That was the tradition, and that would symbolize a death in the family. Flo tells me that the family plot was bought when Joe had died, and the original deed to these graves is safely still in her hands, and it shows the signature of Grandpa Sam. May the Tormina family rest in peace, and they are not forgotten. Rest in peace.